smoke detectors have an expiration date, 10 years. So if you have smoke detectors, of course, you need to change your batteries. We recommend monthly. But the big push on that's coming up here next week or so when we change the clocks, to definitely change your smoke detector batteries, change your clocks. And when you do that, look at the date. If it's over 10 years old, you need to go purchase new detectors. If you're unable to purchase detectors, we have some detectors that are battery operated that we can come out and install them. As the same, if you do have detectors or go out and buy them and you need assistance, then please give us a call. We'll send a unit out. Matt and I just went out last week with a lady who was unable to change them, and we're able to put new detectors in for her and things of that nature. So that's one of our public outreach campaigns that we do, and we take care of those that need us to assist them.
So change the battery every month.
You change it at least once a year.
Yeah.
And when I say change your battery, I just said check it. You need to check it once a month. You change your battery at least once a year to make sure that the detector is working. You want to check it at least once a month.
Okay.
And then again, if it needs to be changed or it's not activating, then you definitely want to check the date. And if it's not activating correctly, you want to replace it. Don't ever take the detector down because the steam from the shower or set it off or things of that nature. Nowadays, they're making detectors that are not as sensitive for areas of that, like next to the kitchen, so forth and so on. So the detectors need to stay in place. They serve the purpose, and they do save lives.
And make sure when that detector starts getting some age on it, keep track of that.
Keep track of it. Make sure that every time you check that detector, you check that date. And if it's coming up on 10 years, you need new detectors.
Just like Chief Doyle said,
Yeah.
Check the date. Check the date on the batteries, check the date on the smoke detectors, all that good stuff.
And that's just usually on the bottom, isn't it? The date for the smoke
Batteries
detector?
always have to have a date. They have to have a manufacturing date or an expiration date, and it's usually on the side of the battery, especially 9 volts, which are typical in smoke detectors. Once you take the smoke detector down, look at the back of it. It does have an expiration date.
Yeah. Okay.
And it does say I'm pretty sure it says in 10 years, this is when it expires. But also November 6th, Sunday, November 6th is daylight savings. Those, we try to preach, daylight savings, check your batteries, check your detectors, things like that, replace them. Daylight savings occurs twice, so, if you do it twice, that's even better.
Yeah.
Don't put old batteries in your detectors. Make sure they're brand new batteries. All that, makes a big difference.
Well, and you guys see this firsthand. I mean, you see any number of cases when you're going through a house after a fire with smoke detectors, and we've just seen so many tragic situations.
One of our checklists on our reporting system is, were there smoke detectors present in the residence? And you have to check yes or no. Simple, very simple. And then your next question is, did they activate and alert the occupants or not? And you check those boxes. So the data is clear. It's pretty easy. You can run a spreadsheet, and it tells you which fires you ran where the residents were alerted or not. Or in a lot of cases, you'll find the smoke detectors have been pulled down because now they become a nuisance to whoever has them because they keep going off. And then the last 2 to 3 years has been really prevalent in Stafford County with smoke detectors and them hitting a 10-year mark. When I started working, we had 69,000 residents in Stafford County. We're approaching 150,000 residents. That's significant. So that tells you there's been a significant change in construction. We've started building much more. Early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, we had a large volume of homes built, and all of those smoke detectors are out of date or nearly out of date. And we're working. I've been working on some community outreach programs where we're trying to get out to these communities that we know that are 10, 11, 12 years old, and just do door to door. We'll be working on some door to door campaigns to try to get the awareness up.
Along with the high risk neighborhoods.
Yep.
It's another one we look at. High risk is important, and we make sure they have detectors.
Yeah.
A lot of times we'll go calls. We'll respond to incidents, maybe for a medical incident, and you'll hear beeping. And one particular I remember, I said, "What is that beeping?" And I knew what it was. It's a smoke detector. It's been doing it for 2 weeks, which that's an indicator your battery's low. You need to change your battery. So luckily we have batteries on the apparatus, we're able to go through and change the batteries. So the little things, if the smoke detector beeps intermittently, that's telling you, change my battery. I need that, now. So that's important because a lot of people will call in and say, it's just beeping every now and then. So it goes back to when you put the detector up, or read the directions, read the instructions to know what all the warning signs are. And if they don't, they can always call us. We're there to provide the information or help them with whatever they need to do.
Another thing tied in with detectors is renter's insurance when you're dealing with fire and what you guys deal with.
Exactly. Insurance is a huge benefit for when we have a fire or a natural disaster where your home is affected or damaged. So a lot of people don't understand that if they're renting, the home is covered with the homeowner's insurance policy. However, your contents, the renter's contents, may not be covered. So you need to reach out to an insurance company, and it's relatively inexpensive insurance that will cover your contents. So in the case of a disaster, fire, or what have you, if your contents are damaged or lost, you'll have the ability to replace them through insurance.
One of the things we talk about with a lot of this is, it's common sense. And a lot of us think it's common sense, but I know you see up close things that aren't so common sense.
Right. A lot of people, in common knowledge, I think would be a better term, that, I'm living in this house, it's insured, I'm covered. But in the case of renting, that is not necessarily true. So you need to talk to your landlord, and you need to talk to your insurance company and make sure it's your responsibility to make sure you're covered yourself. And like I said, it's relatively inexpensive to make sure that your contents are covered, because it's nothing worse than to lose everything and have to start over again. We've seen some content losses, upwards of $100,000, and the normal individual who's renting a home doesn't have that cost to cover that, where insurance may cover that.
Yeah, and renter's insurance usually isn't that expensive.
Exactly. It's in our experience, we find that it's relatively inexpensive for the coverage that it provides.